So for our test tomorrow, we have a couple graphic organizers that I gave you that if you'd like to fill out, you're going to watch this video with me. So let's get started. The first graphic organizer talks about graphing lines from our different forms. So for slope-intercept form here at the very start, we are going to be looking at two things. The first thing we look at is the y-intercept, that b value from y equals mx plus b. That is a point on the y-axis. So when I see this minus 4 right here, I know that on this line, the point 0, negative 4 exists. So we're going to start graphing. On the y-axis, 0, negative 4 is down 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 on the y-axis. You're going to start there. And then we look at our slope to graph the rest of the line. 2 over 3, rise over run, count up 2 from our point 1, 2 over 3, 1, 2, 3. Draw a point, count up 1, 2, draw over 1 and 2 and 3. Up 2, 1, 2, 3 over, or you can start at our point and go down 2 and 1, 2, 3 to the left. Draw your line. Better than me, please. There's our first one. From standard form, you have two options. I'm going to start with the one I'd prefer, is to look at the intercepts. Now, hopefully from yesterday, we remember to find the x-intercept, we substitute in 0 for y. So if we substitute in 0 for y, this whole term right here is going to be gone, so we get 2x equals 6. So then dividing by 2x equals 3, that's the point 3 comma 0. That is to the right 3, right there. To find the y-intercept, that's when x equals 0. Substitute in 0 in for x, so this 2x, that when we plug in 0, it comes 2 times 0, which is 0. So what do we have left? Negative 3y equals 6. Dividing by negative 3, do not add 3, divide by negative 3, and you get y equals negative 2, which is the point 0, comma negative 2. Drawing that on our graph, 0, negative 2 is right there. You only really need 2 points to draw a line. Draw a line through those 2 points, and you've got your line. Now, I said there were two ways to do this. You could always, I'm going to write it down here at the bottom, rewrite this into a different form. If we wanted to write it in slope-intercept form, we would get y by itself. Canceling the x term, we subtract 2x. And to get rid of the negative 3 attached to y, we divide. And you divide everything. So the other way you could do this is you would get y equals negative 2 divided by negative 3 is 2 over 3x. 6 divided by negative 3 is negative 2. So you can graph this line, which you will find will give us the first same 2 points here at the beginning that we already found. So if we started with the y-intercept of negative 2 and up 2 over 3. Same point. So that's how we graph from standard form. From point slope form, you first need to identify your point. So we look next to the x to find the x-coordinate. If you remember, we do opposites, so that is negative 1. We look next to y. To find the y-coordinate, we think about the opposite, so that is positive 3. That is the first point you're going to graph. So left 1, up 3, 1, 2, 3, right there. And then just like with slope-intercept form, we look at our slope next. It's negative 2. Go down 2, right 1, not left, right 1, down 2, right 1, down 2, right 1, or you could have gone up 2 and left 1. Make sure your line is decreasing. Draw a line through there, and that is how we graph from each of the three. Oops, that's not what I want to do. Sorry. Each of the three forms. Please take note down here at the bottom, horizontal lines, y equals something, vertical lines, x equals something. Next page. Slope, I'm going to fill in the important parts. I'm going to skip the definition. Actually, you know what? Just kidding. Let's write in there, maybe not the definition, but a synonym. rate of change. That's good to remember. What does a positive slope look like? Increasing line. What does a negative slope look like? Decreasing line. What does a zero slope look like? Horizontal. What does an undefined slope look like? Vertical. Slope formula here in the middle. The y is subtracted over the x is subtracted. I'm over here at the right, change in y is on top, change in x is on the bottom. We can write our two forms even though we just looked at them. Y equals mx plus b is slope-intercept form. Point slope form is y minus a y coordinate equals the slope times the quantity x minus an x coordinate. A couple quick examples of finding slope between 2 points. If you need them, you can skip this and do this yourself. Our slope would be, I'll start with 7. 7 minus 8 over, and it has to be 4 minus 2, so that's negative 1 over 2. So our slope right there is negative 1/2. Down below, I'll do the opposite order. Not that it matters. I'll pick 3 first this time. 3 minus 9 over 1 minus. This is a place where a lot of us make mistakes. 1 minus negative 2. 3 minus 9 is negative 6. 1 minus negative 2 is 3, and that simplifies to negative 2. So there is our slope. So rate of change is a synonym, same thing. There's our slope formula. Got to know that for tomorrow. Change in y over change in x, rise and run, just like in the middle here, are two forms of our lines and the different ways that lines will look for the different types of slopes. All right, moving on. Parallel lines. What do we know about parallel lines? They never intersect and they have the same slopes. What do we know about perpendicular lines? They meet at a right angle. And their slopes are two things. They have their opposites and they are reciprocals. Two things. So I'm going to start with the bottom, then go up to the graphs in a second. So down here in the bottom left, we're going to fill in this line all the slopes that would make things parallel. So when we look over at our first example, we see that our slope is negative 2. So if we had a parallel line to this, its slope would be negative 2 as well. If we looked at y equals 1/2 x plus 5, we notice that the slope is 1/2. So something parallel to it would have the slope of 1/2. Slope for the third one is 2, so that means we'll have the same slope of 2. The last one is the slope of negative 2, so our last slope is negative 2. Over here on the perpendicular part, opposite reciprocals. So when we see the slope is negative 2, we have to take the opposite, so that would be positive. We take the reciprocal, flip it over, that's 1 over 2. So our slope for a perpendicular thing will be 1/2. Look at the next one. For perpendicular, we take the opposite, so it's positive, so it needs to be, well, that's annoying. I am very sorry about whatever that is. Our slope will be negative. Got to flip it over, 2 over 1. So our slope right there is negative 2. Our slope for the third one is 2, so taking the opposite would make it negative. Flipping it over would be 1 over 2, so our perpendicular slope would be negative 1/2. Finally, looking at the last one, see the slope of negative 1/2, we do opposite, so it would be positive. Flip it over, 2 over 1, so our perpendicular slope right there would be positive 2. I'm going to go through and graph these lines up at the top really quick. It doesn't always look super great on my computer. So I'm going to start with this one. There's the y-intercept. Our slope is 2, so we go up 2 over 1, up 2 over 1, up 2 over 1, up 2 over 1, up 2 over 1. And since I don't have a ruler for my computer, I'm going to do my best with my line right there. Then I'm going to look at the next one, y-intercept of negative 4. Slope of 2, so up 2 over 1, up 2 over 1, up 2 over 1, up 2 over 1. That's enough points. And then trying to draw my best line. Okay, Not perfect. Sorry about that, but there's the two lines. They should not intersect. Draw better than I did. Perpendicular over here, starting with the slope-intercept line. Y-intercept is -1. Draw that on the y-axis. Slope 2, rise 2, run 1, rise 2, run 1, rise 2, run 1. There's one line. Next line is in point slope form, so I'm going to look at the number next to x. I'm going to think opposite, so that's +4. I'm going to look next to y, think opposite, that's -2. So I'm going to graph the point 4 to the right, down 2 right there. The slope for this one is -1/2, so that is rise -1, run 2, rise -1, run 2, rise -1, run 2, or we can go the other way, so up 1, left 2, up 1, left 2, up 1, left 2. And if you draw this a little bit better than I did, you will see that that right there is a right angle. So there's our parallel and perpendicular reminders. One more page to go. Writing an equation given 2 points. Shoot, I have examples that I want to do. Give me a second so I can take them out. Okay, sorry about that. Let's work with the points 8, 2 and 20, -1. So how do we write an equation? I'm going to do both types of equations. But for both slope-intercept form and point-slope form, the first thing we have to do is the same. We have to find slope first. So number one thing is calculate our slope. So m equals y-coordinate minus y-coordinate over x-coordinate minus x-coordinate. It's -3/12, which simplifies to -1/4. There's our slope. If you like point-slope form, we can jump right into our answers. And you have two choices. One would be y plus 1 equals -1/4 times the quantity x minus 20. Or we could do y minus 2 equals -1/4 times the quantity x minus 8. Those come from using the two different points for point-slope form. Now, if you wanted to do slope-intercept, oh, buddy. If you want to do slope-intercept, we have to solve for our b value. And how we do that, if you recall, plug in something for y, plug in our slope, plug in something for x. So choose one of the points. Doesn't matter which. Let's do 8 and 2. 2 equals our slope is -1/4. Our x value is 8 plus b. -1/4 times 8 is -2 plus b. So we add 2 to both sides. So b equals 4. So our answer right there is y equals -1/4. Oh, I'm going to write this sideways. Sorry. Y equals -1/4 x plus 4. Any of these three are okay right now because it doesn't tell me which way I have to do this. Given a point and a slope, let's do the point 3, 10 and a slope of -2/3. Let's just use point-slope form, boys and girls. Y minus the y-coordinate equals the slope times x minus the x-coordinate. There's your answer for that one. Point and a y-intercept. So let's say you're given -3, -2, and 0, 8. Find the slope first. 8 minus -2 over 0 minus -3. It's 10/3. If you're given the y-intercept, you see that 0, something? That's your b value. So why don't we just jump right into slope-intercept form? Y equals mx plus b, so we get y equals 10/3 x plus 8. Okay, those are the quick reminders of everything. Hopefully, if you choose to do these, you feel these graphic organizers are helpful for tomorrow.